Today I'm going to be discussing the crown prep procedure. We'll go ahead and welcome the patient, walk them to the room, have them take a seat, start reviewing their health history. Are they allergic to anything? Especially epinephrine. We use epinephrine in our anesthetic, and also Hemodin if they have a cardiovascular issues. That can be a negative issue. And then after, we're going to start explaining the procedure to the patient. If they have any questions, go ahead and answer them. And when all their questions are answered, they understand what's going on, then we're going to have them sign a consent form. And once they sign a consent form, we're going to check, do they need x-rays? Do they have current x-rays? Do their x-rays show the whole crown and the whole apex of the tooth? We don't want them to have a current infection and they have an abscess at the root of the tooth, and we don't catch it. It's very bad. So we need to make sure that they have an up-to-date x-ray. And we're gonna take a preliminary impression if necessary for provisional coverage. There's two types. There's a custom provisional, and then there's prefabricated. A custom aesthetically is most common. Prefabricated isn't so common, but it does have its advantages. It is a lot quicker. It saves time for us and the patient if the patient needs to be in and out. And then we can go ahead and make sure that we have all the sections ready for our doctor, which is our first one is our HVE section. And also we're going to have a small section. And then we will also have our air and water syringe ready for our doctor. And then we will have isolation, so gauze and cotton rolls as well. And then of course we'll start administering the topical anesthetic. The dental assistant of course can do that. And then the doctor will come in and start administering the local anesthetic, which includes the cartridge, the needle, and then of course the syringe. And then while the patient is getting numb, you can go ahead and start using the shade guide. So you can start matching their shade to the tooth. All the teeth in the shade guide have little numbers at the bottom. And so whatever number we choose, of course, we'll just write that number onto the lap slip in the end. And it's very important we match it in the natural lighting. The room isn't too dark. The room isn't too bright. And then next we're going to go ahead and the doctor will use a high-speed handpiece to start drilling, just to start preparing the tooth and start removing the decay. The height and the contour of the tooth is reduced with a 557 carbide burr, a round burr to smooth out the gingival edge. Here you go. Wait, sorry, this is a diamond burr, and then a round burr. And then if there's still excessive decay, the doctor can go in with a spoon excavator. And then the doctor will determine if a core buildup is necessary. A core buildup is when the tooth is extensively decayed, or the tooth is fractured, or it was treated endodontically, which means that it had a root canal. And so you can also, the doctor might use retention pins. Those might be necessary to add strength to the core buildup of the crown. And the post and core can be prefabricated or cast. It provides strength to the post and the crown as well. And then we're gonna go ahead and start placing the gingival retraction cord after the preparation and before the final impression. You're gonna cut and place the final, you're gonna cut the gingival retraction cord and place it in a hemodent solution. And when that's all soaked up, you're gonna go ahead and start packing the cord into the sulcus with a cord packing instrument. In a clockwise direction into the sulcus, and then you're going to leave it for about 5 to 7 minutes, and you're going to unpack it in a counterclockwise direction. And then next we're going to go ahead and dry the tooth and start prepping the tooth for the final impression. The final impression may need to be taken multiple times if it's not coming out right. We want the most perfectly impression made so their teeth come back, perfect. And usually an elastomeric material is used. And then we're going to be using a triple tray. So we're going to use we're going to show the tooth that we're working on, the opposing arch, and then the bite registration. The material is polysiloxane, and it comes in this cool, you can either mix it by hand or it comes in a gun that has like these 2 big tubes, and then you squeeze it into this one little tube, and it makes it by itself, super easy. But of course the dentist will guide you on what he wants you to do. And the light body isolates the tooth that we're working on, the most important tooth. And then the heavy body is for the rest, the bite registration, the opposing arch, and you're going to let that sit for about 8 minutes. In the final step, you're going to check the occlusion. You're going to fill out the lab slip, the doctor's license number, the address, the phone number, the signature. Of course, it's what the patient wants, but also what they need, aesthetically. The healthiest, the most comfortable, is the crown a PFM, porcelain fused metal? Is it all metal? If so, what type? Is it all porcelain? Is it a 3/4 crown? The exact shade, of course, from the shade guide, anatomical characterization if required, and then the date which the crown is needed back. And of course the date should be at least 1 day before the patient comes in for their final cementation. And then some post-operative instructions include to keep the area clean. The gums can get swollen if you're not properly flossing, if you're not properly brushing, and then especially with flossing, you don't want to floss and pop out, you want to floss and pull through. And then of course if the crown does pop out, you can go ahead and call the office ASAP, and so you can come in, we can re-cement that for you. And then schedule an appointment for the customer for them to come back for their final cementation. And then, if their final appointment, everything goes good, everything looks good, the doctor, we can go ahead and cement the permanent tooth and then go ahead and dismiss the patient. Thank you.